What do you miss about high school? Well, I wasn't paralyzed then, so that probably. Those desks where the chair was attached, I could crack my back so good with those things. I miss being able to do that regularly. Getting to see all my friends day in and day out. Now we're all scattered across the globe and we catch up maybe once a year because work has us all busy. Seeing friends every single day, you try to stay in touch as much as possible, but I certainly underestimated how hard that is. I miss the freedom I felt hanging out with my friends and how excited I could be over nothing, meaning we may just be riding around or stopping at Wendy's for a Frosty. Everything brought me happiness. I miss the specific type of freedom and joy I got from those moments. I also miss my mom and how safe, comfortable, and easy life was. Even when it wasn't. Somehow, even in the toughest of times, mom made everything better. I miss being able to laugh and joke during class, without a care in the world. A friend of mine named John. Guy had a hard life. His real dad used to experiment drugs on him. He was 18 years old and homeless as a senior as his stepdad kicked him out. Moved to Idaho to stay with his brother for a few months. Came back to help take care of his grandpa, who unfortunately passed away soon after. He taught me to be confident in myself. I was so girl shy, very anxious doing public speaking, and thought I was ugly. He was very confident. All the girls loved him for being a bad boy. IDK how, but we clicked in a very romantic way. Sometimes he would come over and we would just sit on the sidewalk, talk for hours and staring into space, thinking we'd make it big and talk about going on double dates with our future wives. He would tell me to respect myself. He was there for me after my first breakup. I would let him use my phone so he could text girls since he didn't have a cell phone. We were a very odd friendship. I moved out of town for college. He was hard to get a hold of since he didn't have a cell phone unless he had a prepaid one. Here and there he would drop a hello and we promised we'd hang out when I came back from college. I didn't move back home since I got a job out of town and got caught up in my own life. We never did get the chance to hang out. He passed away. His family wouldn't respond as to what happened. Died on his 25th birthday. I'm sorry, John. I miss our talks. It was so easy. I had a car my parents paid for. Zero bills. All the money I made was personal spending money. I had a constant group of friends to hang out with and went to school in one of the best areas of the city with tons of shops within walking distance. I was a privileged upper middle class kid and everything was ridiculously easy. High school was great. High school girls. Alright. That Friday feeling during the fall, like you knew good times were gonna be had on this evening night. I think the thing I miss most is that feeling that goes through your entire body and soul when you see that pretty girl for the first time and she smiles at you and you just know that you two are going to have some great times together. I miss that feeling of having such a crush on her that even just knowing you might run into her tonight is enough to get you feeling like electricity in the air just before a big thunderstorm. Absolutely nothing. My life has only improved since I graduated. Couldn't pay me to go back. Social media consisted mostly of AIM. No Facebook. And MySpace wasn't very popular yet. Also, cell phones were a rarity. I really miss not being expected to be instantly reachable at any time. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the hell out of my pocket computer. But that aspect I do miss. Not having many responsibilities. Having a job but no real bills. A few friendships and some awesome teachers classes as a result of awesome teachers. Now most of those friendships have splintered into absolute nothingness and most of the cool teachers have retired, moved, or died over the last 5 years. How straightforward and safe it was. Biggest worry was having bad grades or getting rejected by your crush. Adulthood is like having your blinders removed and realizing you are walking on a narrow edge with chasms at the sides. It's strange. But, having crushes. I can't remember the last time I knew a girl and just pined for her. Just not being able to speak correctly around or to her. Fantasizing about the smallest things. Just wanting to be around her. I just miss having that kind of innocent, weak in the knees, just, sorta, desire. And not of desire just in the context of sex. I mean just liking somebody so much and wanting so much to tell them. and having real difficulty doing so, and wanting so badly to have them like you back. I miss that feeling. I miss that pull in my heart towards somebody. Absolutely nothing. Adulting can be a pain, but duck that hellhole. Seeing my best friend. I always had at least one class with her. She committed suicide the summer before my sophomore year of college. She had so many plans for her future. She was my biggest supporter. She always believed in me. It's been 2 years since the night I found out, but I can't remember a day in these last 2 years I haven't thought about her. There's nothing I wouldn't do to see her smile one more time, to feel her hug one more time, to hear her laugh one more time. One more second is all I'd need. Not what? Who? My lovely friend who was killed. I dream about him a lot and I usually wake up crying as a result. I miss Brenda. She wasn't into me or anything. She had a boyfriend, but she would talk to me sometimes when we were finished with track practice and I was waiting for the bus and she was waiting for her ride. She talked a mile a minute and said whatever was on her mind, and I found her delightful. We talked to each other at track and cross country meets too. I remember one time we were talking at a cross country meet while it was pouring down rain, and for some reason she hugged me. I don't know why she did it, but it felt wonderful. Sometime during junior year, her boyfriend knocked her up. She finished junior year, took summer school to get enough credits to graduate, and the two of them went off to get married. I never saw her again. Sigh. Nope. I miss nothing. Barely had any friends and college is a 1000% improvement. I'd never go back for anything. Nothing. I hated high school. I'm glad that it is over and done with. They used to teach us lobster wasn't always a delicacy. It used to be prison food. I just graduated a month ago but I miss some of my friends. I still talk to them, but we're at the point where we're all going separate ways in life. Stay out of my Reddit history please, unless I've died or something. Playing N64 for hours every day after school with my friends. Girls not having 9 kids when you ask them out. The ability to be naive about how the world really works. Athletics, but I both miss them and glad I'm done with them. My HS girlfriend and looking into those beautiful blue eyes. Other than that, nothing. I had fun, but college was infinitely more fun and I was far away from my idiotic parents. I had so much hope for the future. I could enjoy the here and now without letting the bad things get to me too much. Because I knew that high school was only a small part of my life. Didn't have money? No problem. I'll have more when I get older. No girlfriend? No problem. I've still got plenty of time to find the one. Looking back, I can see that teenage tuba majuba thought that life would just happen to me. Ignorance was bliss. But now I'm paying for it. The thing I miss the most is being bored. IDK if teenagers currently even have this anymore. 5-6 kids sitting there trying to figure out what to do with themselves. Among our stupid ideas were trying to do skateboard razor scooter tricks into a pool, blowing up a large ant's nest with kerosene, deciding to play 7 minutes in heaven with a definitely inadequate ratio of guys to girls, which led to some hurt feelings. But hey, our collective imaginations got lazier once I got a car and we all just piled in there and loitered at the mall non-stop. I didn't have this crippling fear that I would never amount to anything and I would eventually die alone, unloved, and forgotten. Also the green skittle was still lime. Honestly, duck that it. The only good things are no responsibilities and seeing friends every day. But once you remember the cliques, the bells, the busy work, the teacher who demands that you kiss his ass, and the general drama that accompanies being a teenager, you realize you're glad that it is over. Marching band. I'm both too poor and too allergic to grass for DCI. Man, I used to laugh my ass off. It was just a different kind of laugh where your stomach hurts like a methodica and you sometimes even fall to the ground. I can remember a couple of times it happened so vividly and it kinda makes me feel sad that it doesn't happen anymore. Marching band. That it was lit and band kids were fun. I miss band. Specifically marching band. That it was the only thing I looked forward to every single day. Some days I hated the directors and my section. Other days I felt like a ducking god after running a show. I miss being in the stand Thursday or Friday nights and trying to outplay each other. I miss that first downbeat of the drum major. I miss playing in the competitions. I live for that man. I wouldn't go back, but I always go other ways to do that stuff. Ham sandwiches with Lay's chips sprinkled in them. For those that say I could make them at home, it's not the same. The teachers. I didn't realize how lucky I was to have wonderful teachers until several years later. I miss knowing what everybody is up to. I know it sounds weird and I don't mean it in a creepy way at all. It was just much easier to know what everybody was doing and how they were when you saw them every day. No weird let's get coffee sometime texts to friends to catch up. No complicated friend groups. No having to go out of your way to meet people. No having to introduce yourself with your occupation tagged on the end. A lot that's been said already. Not having a care in the world. Skipping class to break into the attic above the theater and pilfer stuff or fish at the pond behind the football field. Going to football games and making out under the bleachers, only stopping to check the scoreboard now and then. Doing cringe-worthy stuff to be edgy before I even knew what cringe or edgy was. I'm making myself sad, so I'm gonna stop think about this now. I went through a lot of trauma and abuse as a child and teenager. Weirdly, the worst thing was that my stepfather would bar me from showering. So I didn't have any friends and was bullied a lot because of the smell. I went straight home from school, usually in tears from how the other students treated me, and couldn't wait for that hour of time between when I got home and when he got home. I often read Harry Potter during that hour. Adulthood brought me freedom. I miss the people. I was unpopular, or so I thought. Turns out they liked me when I wasn't pushing everyone away. I was in a small school, 300 people total. I miss the lack of responsibility. I miss the lazy afternoons in the spring when it was warm enough to take your coat off and lounge at the park nearby. I miss going to lunch at the burger joint on the corner and walking back to school with a pop in one hand and a cheeseburger in the other, joking with my friends. I miss the feeling of endless possibility. I miss the sound of the crowd screaming when I got my first and only win on the wrestling team. I miss cheering the football team. I miss my teachers, even the ones I hated. I made school suck for myself. And I know now that if I'd have taken my antidepressants I would have had a great time. For those of you who weren't lucky enough to go to a school with no bullies and great teachers, I'm truly sorry. You were robbed of something amazing. For those of you who are still in school, look around. I mean really look. And make sure it doesn't just suck because you're in such a hurry to start your life. Because you can rob yourself of something amazing like I did. My history teacher, Dr. McCabe. He was the best teacher I've ever had. He died of pancreatic cancer a few years ago and I never got a chance to let him know what he did for me. Nothing. High school can go suck a big D from me. Being around people and playing music. That it forced you to be around people who you didn't like and you learned just how great your friends are. I did theater for most of high school. I miss hanging out with my closest friends in the auditorium every day. I miss making memes with each other before a show. I also miss the collective sense of accomplishment when we had a good show. It was just blissful. Other than that though, nothing. Missed opportunities. The girl who got away, not having to worry about bills. Free time that I didn't feel guilty for enjoying. My first girlfriend. Looking forward to simple things like they were the best things ever. Marching band. Other than that, nothing. Even as a jock popular kid in high school, nothing. My whole life was controlled by adults and sports that had no bearing on real life. It was incredibly dumb and everyone acted like getting a B on a test was the end of your life. When my friends and I graduated, we went downtown in our city that night and just hung out. There were 5 other high school graduations that day, so there were a lot of high schoolers running around. But most people downtown knew about it. One older guy standing next to us in line at a coffee shop asked us if we'd just graduated. I told him yes. He said high school is amazing and that we'd always remember it as the best time of our lives. I didn't mean to be rude, but I just kinda reacted and said so everything just gets worse from here. He laughed it off, but I thought about that a lot that night. Honestly, I don't miss anything from high school mainly because I didn't want that to spend the next 60 years looking back at the good times. All the stuff I liked about high school I either carried with me and improved upon it, or it got replaced by something better. All the stuff I didn't like, I left it in the past. My family struggled a lot financially, so while I'm not rich, I'm living the most prosperous life I've had so far and I get to experience so much more now. The responsibility of adulthood can really suck sometimes, but I'll take it any day over high school strictly BC of the freedom it brings. Freedom in grade 9 and 10. Those 2 years you are in that sweet spot. Not old enough to really have to worry about your future but not so young that parents are constantly stressing about where you are and what you are doing. I could go to school, hang with friends after school, not do homework, not study and still keep people happy. I got average grades which for 16-year-old me was more than good enough. I haven't really done that since. College was all like party, but you still have to study. Work is work. Back then I could spend entire vacations watching anime and playing games and no one would bat an eye. Summer jobs weren't aimed at paying someone off or to save up for something I desperately needed. All my money went to things I wanted and needed. Of course, I know I had a privileged life and school experience. I just miss those days in my life. Though I am slowly working towards the next steps in my life. Studying in another country and hopefully starting a life. I will never experience that carefree level deep down. How easy and chill it all was. After you leave high school life really goes hard mode on her ass. Nothing. I disliked high school and pretty much everyone in it. Probably why at the age of 31 I have no friends and I'm more than okay with that. Absolutely ducking nothing. In a way, I felt like I mattered more. Sort of a big fish in a small pond kind of deal. I was so much more involved in extracurriculars than I am now. I played a varsity sport, was in 2 musical groups, and was in 2 other academic teams. Think speech team, mock trial, mathletes kind of thing. I had more of an identity. In college and beyond, you're kind of dumped into the real world where there are thousands of people like you out there, and it's easier to lose a sense of purpose and belonging in the anonymity of the masses. Also, everyone knew everyone. Yeah. There's a few people you might not like so much, but you get to see your friends every day. You knew where to find people. That might be a bad thing if you're deliberately trying to avoid someone, but I personally was on pretty good terms with everyone at my school. Unlike most Redditors, I had a great experience in high school, and I know a lot of my classmates did as well. I guess I'm one of those rare nerds who shamelessly peaked there. Nothing. It was very segregated into just a few groups, preppies, drug addicts. Then the band nerds and all minorities were looped into one crowd. I saw some of the most racist, prejudiced, bigoted and drama-driven children ever. I kept my head down, studied and got the hell out of town ASAP. Being an adult is wonderful. If people misbehave around me, I can straight up leave and not have to be with them hour after hour, day after day. I mean, sure jobs exists, but you're doing something you want to do. Nothing. I hated high school with a passion. Worst years of my life. The only good thing I got out of it are some close friends. And my beautiful girlfriend. That being said, work and college aren't easy, but I have more control over my life now and I'm much happier.